One of the most common yet difficult questions that I'm asked as a hospice chaplain, and when I say it's common, I'm probably asked this at least a couple of times every day, and that is, when am I going to die? None of us know, right? There's prognosis software that doctors use based off of what type of illness you have, what stage you're in, all of the things. And then we have our nurses who are checking your vitals, watching for physical changes in your body at least 2-3 times a week. But none of us know when you're going to take your last breath. But I would say that's the most common question people want to know. Especially if I don't get it from the patients, I get it from their loved ones. It's so hard for me to see families sitting at the bedside waiting for their loved one to die. It gets to be to a point where there's this mix of, not for all families, but for many families, where there is this mix of, I wish the person would just die. Not because they want the person to die and leave, but they've accepted the fact that the person is dying, and this dragging on process that's taking so long is wearing on them spiritually and emotionally. Sometimes I will come back over a weekend and that patient's still there. And I personally, as a chaplain, am dreading going back into that room and seeing those families' faces because I know the pain they're in. And I also know I don't have any words to say, but that's the beautiful thing about chaplaincy is you don't have to have the words because you're not there to fix anything. You're not there to give advice, but still you can feel the tension around it. And often when that family's loved one does pass, when they do die, there's this sense of relief, also mixed with guilt, because they're like, should I have been wishing for them to die? Am I being selfish? Was I selfish? That's a whole nother video for a whole nother conversation. But what I always tell people when I'm asked that question, whether from the patient themselves or their family members, I always say this: I do not know. But what I do know is you're not going to leave here a second before you're supposed to. We all have a date and a time. And what I would invite you to is to think about what is most important to you in the days that you have left. What is most important to you with the days you have left with your family member. And one of the things that I like to do is, because once you're sitting at the bedside, you feel like you've said everything you need to say to that person, right? But I always use the 4 things. There's a great book if you're looking for a resource as a chaplain. And I actually saw it on, oh goodness, what's the name of that? It's a show. I can't think of the show. It's not Scrubs. The Pit. He used it. And I was like, oh, he's using the 4 things. And I will give that to families as something to talk about. So the 4 things are to tell people that you love them, obviously, to thank them, to say, I forgive you, and do you forgive me? And just walking through that. Now, one of the things is a lot of people are like, well, if the patient's comatose and they can't speak to you, how are they going to say, do you forgive me? Or I forgive you? How are they going to confess anything? I'm like, look, you've been living with this person your entire life. You know what unfinished business y'all got. You know what you are holding against that person or upset about. Use that opportunity to voice that and assume that they're asking for forgiveness, because everybody wants to leave here in peace. That I can tell you. I meet with people all the time, whether they are religious or non-religious. Everybody wants to leave here in peace. Give your loved one the gift of peace. Give yourself the gift of peace. All right, my loves. Until next time, my name is Leslie. I am a hospice chaplain, and I am taking you on the journey with me from the time that I started this journey to where I am now. I'm creating the videos that I wish existed when I first started this journey. Like, share, comment, cries of outrage, I read them all. And until next time, grace and peace.